It's not.
Are you trying to like do that?
Sally sells
Sally sells
she
seashells by the yeah, whatever.
You all are.
Yeah, welcome to the FN Movie Podcast. I'm your host today, Dylan Camacho, and today we have, of course, all of the usuals. I'm not going to go through all their last names. I'm feeling really lethargic today. Here's Nathan to the far left. Here's Mason, and that's Bryce. And today we're talking about Step Brothers. Price, this is your movie. You can probably sum it up pretty well, but I'm gonna go ahead and let Nathan go ahead and tell us what this movie's about.
Yeah, go into full detail.
Nathan,
how deep this movie goes.
Yeah.
How deep the plot is, all the different threads that come together.
All those
Right.
very different.
Because this movie
so
has a
elaborate.
lot going on.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
The depth of this movie is just breathtaking.
A lot of layers, just
Yeah.
like onions.
Can you
just
do
a lot
it in
of
30 words or less? Yeah.
Will Ferrell is the son of a single dad, and
You already got this wrong.
The other way around.
John C. Reilly is the
John
one.
C. Reilly is
That's
the-
right.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
He cannot do it in 30 words or less, but go ahead.
Somebody else.
And his,
did.
and his name is
Apparently-
Brennan, by the way.
Brennan.
Yeah.
Brennan.
It's Will Ferrell.
Yeah. All right. So, Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly. Will Ferrell has a mom. John C. Reilly has a dad. And the dad and the mom hook up at like I think a conference or something like that. I forget what exactly he's doing. I know he's presenting. So
It's a
anyway,
medical tech convention.
yeah. So they meet up at this conference and they hook up, and then they get married, and they have two adult sons, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, and they come together in one household, and hijinks ensues. Is pretty much just the best way to describe it.
Well, I mean, there is like a few different arcs. But they're not important. Like basically, they start out hating each other because they're like it's like Will Ferrell's encroaching on John C. Reilly's territory,
It's an alpha male thing.
and then they finally like get together, and they have like some of the best scenes in the movie when they finally like, get together and like each other, and then they fall out, and then they have the falling out, and then they get back together at the very end.
yeah.
So it's basically that like the whole movie just revolves around their relationship, like if they're together or not. That's pretty much it.
So, and kind of cutting into the movie, just getting back because I'm not going to spend a lot of time summarizing the
That's
plot
it.
on that. Exactly. So,
There's nothing else that needs to be said.
I mean, we can talk about older brothers and stuff like that, but that'll chime in as we go along.
I guess.
I will say to this movie's credit, I was thinking about it on the way here, and beat for beat, I will sit here and think that comedies tend to generally kind of go blend in with the rom-com style storytelling, where you have a thing, it goes in Act 2, you have a build-up, there's an incident, it breaks up, everybody gets back together, and then they all work it out in the end. That's the typical comedy, romance, rom-com, whatever, spiel, spectrum style movie plot telling. And this movie does that, but it does save the split up until pretty late in the movie. Like, it's already well into like Act 3, whenever they split up, they're doing their own thing for like 15-20 minutes of the movie, and then they're already hosting the Catalina wine mixer, which I know
Excuse me, it's the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
my mistake. I knew he was going to correct me. That's why I didn't say it. So,
I have to use the expletive there.
right, it goes in pretty late in the film where it actually does hit those beats, so it doesn't feel like, because that's, nowadays I feel like that's my biggest gripe. When you see that, when you already know it's going to be like, here's a movie, here's the beats, it's going to sit there and it's going to have this moment where they're going to, main characters, if it's a duo, it's split up, or for one reason or another, for the artificial conflict, and they come back together in the end. This one is one of those ones, even knowing that, I'm like, all right, but it's very brief. They don't stay on it very long to make you feel like it's a long, like, split, because the movie does shine at its best whenever John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell together.
Together, yeah.
But, which is the funny thing to me, because I think this movie speaks volumes of where you are in your life and who, like, what you find funny in comedy out of this movie. Is that if you're, here's a question I want to ask around to the board. Who do you think are the two funniest characters in this movie as of this most recent rewatch?
Adam Scott's one of them,
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah.
And Will Ferrell's the other.
All right, so Adam Scott, Will Ferrell.
Yeah. I mean, Will Ferrell definitely is always going to be a great one. Yeah, I would actually say, yeah, that'd be.
I've really enjoyed, is it Derek?
Derek, that's Adam
Derek.
Scott.
I liked his
Yeah.
character more this time through, just for some reason. But yeah, I mean that's a good question,
Right.
Because like I probably last night I really wasn't like into like watching a comedy. I just knew that I had to because we kind of bumped everything early.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, it's all good. I'm gonna watch it. And I was just kind of watching it, and to be honest, I didn't laugh a whole lot. I know it's a good movie, and I know it's a really funny movie, and I know that I've laughed a ton at it. But you're right. I mean, you just kind of have to be in the same headspace and the right frame of mind, and be able to watch a comedy.
I kind of found that too. Like, I wasn't Well, I mean, also, I do generally watch these when I'm in the office.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
wasn't laughing at it as much as I had maybe the first time I'd seen it.
And I know the writing in this movie is just spot on. Like it is a super bad type film where like, you know, I rewatched it for, you know, the first time in like 6 years, you know, maybe a few weeks ago, and like it still hits the high notes. It's still very, you know, funny and everything. So I know they're there. But you hit it right on the head.
Right.
You just have to be ready for that. And
Coming back to the movie, it was very much like the first times I'd watched this. Gosh, has it been like? Yeah, I was like freshman, sophomore in college or something, and we just left it on. We rented out a cabin, and it just stayed on. Like it was just on loop for like literally days. It was just constantly running. So I think that
as
may
it probably
play,
should have been.
right. It may play part of why I'm like I love hate this movie at times, because I remember thinking like this is funny, and then I remember like this is the 50th time. This movie needs to stop.
When it came out, it was like
Right.
It was
a
huge.
small. It was like a small phenomenon. Like
Yeah.
everybody, like our age, especially, just replayed that.
soaked it up. Right.
all the time.
That
It
movie
was the Napoleon
nonstop.
Dynamite of its time, I think.
Yeah.
I
This
wouldn't
is college-
go that far.
It's roughly
Napoleon Dynamite was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
stupid. They were
There
making
was
merch and
movement.
everything. I get
Yeah,
it.
right.
But to that extent, I do.
Yeah.
I do
Right.
get where you're coming from.
So, kind of to my older point, though, it is funny though because I rewatched this movie and the Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly points. They weren't the funniest things to me in this movie this time around. Like maybe because I've already heard the jokes like a billion times over. Like those are the ones that are the freshest to come to my mind.
Would be the dad.
The dad and Adam Scott both are the two funniest characters in this movie. To
I
me
thought
now.
you would say that.
On this
really
rewatch,
did.
it really like I'm just watching all the small stuff. Like even whenever Adam Scott's the brother comes over for the first time, and like the dad's just like sitting at the table, like grinning and smiling
he
at him.
was just like a fan.
Yeah.
Oh, you went on a fishing trip?
Yeah,
God, you're so impressive.
I know.
Like, I've never heard you laugh like that. And he's just over there like,
Yeah, you're right. Like the entire time, it is just that. Like the dad crack all of Dad's lines, even whenever it's like, and like John C. Reilly. I love John C. Reilly and most of like him and Will Ferrell's interactions with it. The one where he's talking about, well, what happens if Will Ferrell's mom like catches me out of the shower and goes over and she's had the old bull and now she wants the young bucket. He's
The
just
young
like,
calf.
shut the fuck up. Those ones with the dad, like they had me cracking up a lot more in this film than any of the stuff John C. Reilly and them did.
You're kind of expecting the John C. Reilly
Right.
because when you're watching it when you're younger, like you're focused on those two.
Yeah.
Everybody else is a peripheral character, but now you've seen it so many times where you can kind of branch outside of them and see more of what's going on. I'm not saying again it's a very layered movie. It's just John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell take up a lot of the space on screen when
Right.
they're there, and they command a lot of attention.
yeah.
I think it is a credit to its comedy beats, though, that I can sit there and I found these things funny when I first watched it, but then I can go back and watch it years later, and I'm like, all right, I'm still like laughing at Adam Scott like showing his abs and just saying, "Yeah, do this." I've been in a
So
car. too-
obviously not him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you
Definitely
totally
not
brought
his.
somebody in.
Right.
They're just like tone.
The way he treats his wife, like whenever she's just singing in the car, it's just like, "You don't even look good doing it." Like it's just sitting. Just all of him and the dad like just take it home for me, and I think it's one of those things where I'm like, they're background comedy for me on the first time, but like now that's where my focus is. So, and that's a credit. You know, it takes a lot for like not to be. It's not a deep layered movie like by context or anything else like that. But good comedy should have that layered jokes throughout. And one of the things I saw in this movie, because I had to go back and look, and I was like, who directed this one? Because Will Ferrell always is very hit and miss with me. For a lot of stuff, I'm not like big fan on, and then I saw it was Adam McKay. And Adam McKay's stuff, I remember I love Adam McKay also in The Other Guys, which is
Mhm.
my favorite
Yeah.
Will Ferrell by far.
So I haven't seen it.
I feel like
Oh,
really.
man.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, whenever.
This movie doesn't compare to the other guys on that.
Cool.
Yeah, in our
I'm
book,
sorry,
right.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
It
The,
yeah,
chem-
it
the
is Will
chemistry
Ferrell.
between Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, for some reason, obliterates.
You think that's better than the John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell? You're insane.
If I'm
Will
comparing
Ferrell
it
and
to
John C. Reilly go way back, like back to the Tim and Eric show where they
Yeah.
did stuff together.
Oh, wait. Will
Like,
Ferrell's done everything. though.
No, but
Right.
not with Mark Wahlberg. Like that could that.
Which
the
I think
chemistry is there for the movie, but like they don't have that real chemistry.
And this isn't The Other Guys review, so I won't
It
touch
isn't,
more on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought I might get a little jab.
Right, yeah.
Before anything.
Get that jab in real
Gets
quick.
anything too
Because
nice.
The Other Guys will pop up on this movie thread eventually between me, Price, or Nathan.
I don't think we can, Mason. That's what we're
Oh, man.
That would have to be Nathan's pick. That's the only way we get to see it.
Nathan, we're going to force Nathan to pick. Like in a movie.
How if I
They're saying this week.
Oh
Yeah.
this-
No, we're not. We wouldn't do that. I don't know. We'll just do a time where if we get really mad at Nathan, we'll just pick his movie for him.
Super
We'll just outvote him. If we get another Lawnmower Man, we will just be, nah, you're picking other guys, and we're letting it happen. But enough about the lack of consent that we're giving Nathan on this one. Other pros and cons, guys. What did we like about it?
I was watching again because I was watching YouTube videos last night because I was kind of wanting to see both sides of the argument. Like I went to YouTube and I was looking at like Step Brothers analysis, wanted to see where like a lot of people kind of fell on it. A lot of people were like, of course, this is like the movie of my childhood. I love it so much, that kind of thing. But compared, like there was one guy I subscribed to. He was talking about how Superbad is his favorite movie of all time, and now he kind of compared that to Step Brothers. He was like, Step Brothers just doesn't hit it for me because it's too quotable. He said it was just too quotable, and I heard about it too much. He got way too hyped up before he seen it. And he's like, I just can't watch this movie.
I could see that. It was almost in the spotlight too much.
I've got to say that's a little bit where I am with it because I didn't watch it when it came out. It wasn't the movie of my time, and I did hear about it all the time, and I was just like, I'm not gonna watch that movie. I don't give a shit about that movie.
I'm trying to think of like what that would be now. Like if any comedy in the past 2 years has
comedies aren't near as popular as they used to be.
Yeah, comedies are really not.
Yeah, but they're cranking out just as much. I'm trying to see. I think of one that's been in the spotlight that like you haven't seen, but you've heard nothing about
since Step Brothers.
Just in the past 2 years is what I'm trying to say.
Past 2 years is probably gonna be hard. I can't.
It's gonna be real dry because comedy.
Deadpool is probably the best.
Yeah, that's a pretty quotable one.
Yeah.
Do you think it's as much of a comedy though as something like this though? Because I definitely
the first Deadpool, hands down, absolutely.
It's still like a hero action movie.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where I think it is different.
It's not a perfect comparison.
Right. It's not a pure comedy, but it definitely is a still.
There's a reason it got
comedy that's very quotable.
There's a reason why it got an R-rated.
Quotable. Quote 2 lines from Deadpool.
Wear the brown pants this time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like this guy has the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
Yeah, a lot of that first part of that movie.
And all of those lines that he says about teenage Negasonic, we're not trying to talk about that. I'm just saying, like, coming from that guy's point, like Deadpool would be that if you hadn't seen Deadpool yet.
But I feel
you wouldn't want to just be like, God, I still need to see Deadpool. You know what I mean? Like, you just be like, I've heard Deadpool from everyone.
Then why wouldn't you just see it and see if it's really that good for yourself?
So
that guy did.
Right. So this is kind of where
but that tainted his opinion.
I can see the mix. So I can get that point though, because if you feel like you hear all the jokes before they ever get the context of them, it doesn't land the same way. And if you heard people tell the lines, say this, and do the punchlines and all that, if we heard why the chicken crossed the road a billion times before you ever told me the joke, like I'd just be like, I don't care about this damn chicken anymore.
Yeah, it's like The Office right now. If you haven't seen The Office series, but you've seen all of
these just shouldn't go back.
Memes, you've seen all of these things, you've seen all these clips, Dwight Schrute, you've seen everything packed into a social media thread. You're not going to go back and watch
You couldn't do online dating, Mason. If you haven't seen The Office, I'm telling you. Every profile, you have to love The Office, or you got nothing.
Sorry, looks like I'm single.
That's funny because that's one thing that the girls they've used some of those dating apps and they're like every single guy just says that they love The Office
because that's what every single girl says on their
that's
profile.
That's what I told them. It's like, yeah, you all just haven't said that on your profile, but every other girl does,
and every guy does because they know that's what girls are looking for.
It's a whole.
I want my gym to my pants.
Yeah.
See, exactly those points. Can confirm. Watch maybe 4 episodes of The Office.
But I don't think the quotability, like he was saying that the quotability is what kind of hurts it for him. And I think I don't think that I think the lines are just so good that they're quotable. I don't think they're going for those we want this to be on a bumper sticker or something like that. One of the lines he was talking about, and again, another expletive was when he was talking about how he had curly hair in high school, and one of the things that people called him all the time was "you curly-headed fuck" all the time. And he never understood what that was from, and then he got it from Step Brothers. And
so that probably is something that he quite specifically has a negative connotation around.
Just dig some deeper into that fuck this movie hole. So.
That's not fair.
Yeah,
I know that's the only kind of negative I could really find about people talking about it because everybody else enjoyed the movie, and I don't know. I
enjoyed the movie the first time I saw it. I did see it again after having heard people talk about it for a long time, long after it had come out. I was just kind of like, it's kind of funny, but it I don't know. It didn't excite me then.
So-
It didn't excite me this week.
What I was thinking about on the way over here, and
Y'all been doing a lot of thinking on the way drive. Y'all driving to my house. You just got all
In the
these
shower
thoughts.
or in the car. The only places I
I
ever
have a
think.
23-minute drive here, so that's
Yeah.
plenty of time
You
to
have
think about
a
it.
fair point. You have like a 5-minute drive.
Yeah, I
You
think a
just
lot.
packs
very
all those
quickly.
thoughts into
Yeah.
like a condensed area.
Yeah.
No, so you're gonna either do cartwheels or hate me for saying this. When it
You don't have
comes
to target this at me.
when,
Your opinion is your
because
opinion.
both of these movies were yours. Both of these movies were yours.
Yep.
This movie, to me, doesn't bring as much to talk about to the table as, say, Tim and Eric, or one of these other types of comedies that you have
Yeah.
suggested. Because this movie, like you said earlier, off camera, was, in its sense, just a laughing movie. It's strictly
is.
writing. It's strictly casting. That's it. You have to
Yeah.
have good writers, and you have to have a good cast that can deliver.
Mhm.
You don't have to have a storyline. You don't have to have action sequences. You don't have to have high-tech camera. You don't have to have anything. This is one of those movies. While Tim and Eric at least brings this unique factor to the game, where like
Is that what we're calling it?
unique
I mean,
is the
it is
best word
unique,
I could use. But like as far as studying and as far as like homework, as far as like bringing up certain topics and like certain things that we like versus just like Tim and Eric, you almost could talk about longer. You know, I don't know.
So are you trying to say that
Do I
like,
get my rebuttal?
No,
Step
yeah, I'm
Brothers.
listening to Nathan.
Yeah.
Step Brother shows more formulaic? Because that's
Okay,
kinda,
yeah,
that's
he said
kinda
that-
where I
yeah.
think
He
about
says
it,
it's what a
because
more
I think
one
of,
note
like,
kind of thing.
It is. It's
Yeah.
very one note.
What was the other one? Talladega.
Talladega Nights, which in
Talladega
my opinion
Nights.
is a little bit better than this movie.
Mm.
Just a little bit because it does have a story. Plus, anyways, getting back to my point, like you said, it's just like you didn't know what was around the corner at Tim and Eric. You'd be watching that movie and you'd be like, huh, I wonder where this is going to
Yeah,
go.
I
And
would
you're like,
agree.
"Oh, the hell,
Yeah.
what is this? But
Yeah.
Step Brothers, you're like, even if you're watching it for the first time, you're like, okay, kind of, I get it.
Am I ready for the? Are you ready for the rebuttal? Do I get
Sure,
my
but
rebuttal?
can I say one more time that
You can
Talladega
say it.
Nights was better?
Okay. I just want that on the record.
Slightly
It does
better.
something different though. Like you say it like that it's one note and that's a bad thing. But if it's that perfect note and sets out what it says to do, I don't see like what the issue is because every joke lands.
It does.
Every joke lands, and that's what you're going in it for.
It does.
Talladega Nights is more plot oriented.
Yes.
Whereas like the plot matters. But the comedy matters more in that movie. This one, it's just all comedy. They don't care about the plot. The plot is a like a device to serve the joke. Like that is the only thing the plot is for. They're not trying to go for anything big there,
Mhm.
and it's just a device to move the movie forward and to make the jokes land.
Production was Talladega Nights spewed this movie into existence.
Oh, yeah,
Because
Did Talladega Nights come first?
absolutely it came
You
first.
said I don't know.
Yeah.
It came like 2 years before this
Yeah.
movie, which I'm not. Step Brothers is a good movie, and I'm going to score it pretty darn well. But I'm just saying, like
You
thinking
keep
about it,
comparing this movie to other movies. Let me talk
they're
about
all
this
this.
one.
It's a comedy price. You keep picking these comedies.
With John C.
What do you want me to
Reilly
do?
and Will Ferrell, especially though, like it's hard not to have like because they have a catalog of their movies.
Well,
Yeah,
so.
that's the thing.
And it even
that's
does-
where I always think about it is
Right.
like I've seen other movies that they're the leading pair in comedy.
It's also an Adam McKay movie too.
What makes it, I think puts it up on
another.
another. To your
Again.
point, I do think that Adam McKay brings it to another level because what Adam McKay does
Yeah,
with Will
without
Ferrell
him,
compared to like John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, that like for a lot of their stuff, I do not like a lot of their catalog.
Holmes and Watson.
Okay, that's the most recent one, and I didn't even watch it because
I
I
didn't
knew
either.
I wasn't gonna like it, and the
Yeah.
reviews were terrible for it. But for a lot of their catalog, I'm pretty lukewarm to like just outright don't like it, which is why I'm like so flabbergasted by other guys, and I'm not gonna go into that. But it's
Yeah.
again because it's
shouldn't.
that's an Adam McKay relationship though.
John
It's
C.
not-
Reilly's not there though.
Yeah, and I love John C. Reilly separately though. Like a lot of John C. Reilly like
You
individual.
seen Walk Hard?
Mhm.
Walk Hard.
yeah, I've
Dinosaur.
seen that. That was pretty
Even in
good.
Godzilla, he's actually pretty.
It
good.
goes on too long.
Not Godzilla.
No,
King
I
Kong.
mean, yeah, it does, but it was still pretty.
So I need to cover this segment because it happens in this movie, and there's no way I don't. We have therapy done in this movie, and,
Oh yeah.
and
As a therapist, I want to
And-
give this magic 3 words that we heard all last week.
what was it? Not actual therapy? Is that the 3
No,
words?
you said like as a therapist.
Oh, as a therapist, it's the 3
Yeah,
words. So
there it is.
I want to cover. So the first, like again, there's 2 different therapists.
It's
so
such
one,
a little thing in the movie.
I know. I just want to cover it very briefly. There's not
Okay,
going to be a
go
big
ahead.
rant to it. So the one
ahead.
where it's just John C. Reilly is talking with the male therapist, and he's just like, yeah, school was just too easy for me. I just put formulas there. And the therapist sits there for a long time, just nods along, and he's just like, that. So just Good Will Hunting. That's Good Will Hunting. Like, the entire time with that, I'm just like, 100% factually accurate. That's what therapy would look like, I think, if you need to challenge this person.
Then he's like, yeah, my best friend's Ben Affleck, and then it goes to the next.
Yeah. And then, like, the female one is like, Will Ferrell's just saying, you're going to be my... Yeah, I love you
so much.
That's not appropriate at all. That's, in no way do I reciprocate those feelings whatsoever. Does it go off in the end and they end up being together and that's not okay? Yes. But, so there's my one criticism. I'm like, you're so close. Like, even if it's humorously, I'm like, it's humorously not terrible. It doesn't make them look bad, and that's, you know, that's actually a pro. Good for you, Step Brothers.
Okay, I think this is important. Like, if we're doing a straight comedy like this, I think we should go around the table and say your absolute funniest moment or scene in the movie.
Okay.
I'm going to go on record beforehand. I want to go last. I'm going to guess that the Sweet Child of Mine is going to be said at least twice. But Nathan, who wants to start us off on that?
My favorite part was probably like the part that like I didn't remember the first time through, but watching it last night, I was like, "Holy hell, yeah, that was really fun." It was when they were finishing up with their job interviews, and like they were on their way home, and he was like, "Well, let's just go down, Whitmore," and then like John C. Reilly was like, "Oh, what time is it?" And he was like, "It's 4:30." He was like, "I don't go down Whitmore after 4:30." And then Will Ferrell was like, "Okay." And he was like, "Can we go down this way?" He was like, "That's 45 minutes." And like, just like John C. Reilly's like reaction.
Like, okay, all right,
and like,
we'll go.
Yeah. And then I honestly couldn't remember what happened. And then it happened. And I was like,
white
okay,
dog
that
turd.
was really funny. Yeah, that was good.
The whole kid fight, beating them up thing. I did forget about that.
And that's so odd to me because that is honestly like the lowest.
Yeah.
That's like the lowest moment for me.
Really?
For me personally.
That to me,
it's just like that's
different strokes.
Kind of like he was talking about earlier. Whenever you watch it the first time through, similar to like Superbad, you remember those big hot points, but like you forget about these tiny little side note, jokes and
find a schoolyard full of kids. I don't think it's too awfully subtle.
But I mean, which says a lot about Step Brothers. If a giant fight full of schoolyard kids is something that you don't remember off the top of your head.
Yeah, is a hot point that you don't remember.
Right.
Yeah, so that was mine.
Who's next?
Nathan, take it. I'm trying to figure out where my favorite one, funniest one is.
Man, I'll go if I need to.
Nope, I got it. Pause. Sorry, I'm there.
Okay.
All right. So when Will Ferrell's character is trying to get the fucking Catalina wine mixer, and he's talking to the man. Yeah. What is he saying or whatever? Bow. What? Why is he? Oh, he'll take your dick and he'll eat it. He'll
like
take
Kobayashi.
Yeah. That's that one on rewatch was the one that I got the most like laugh out of. And he's like, you know what? Doesn't matter either way. You mess it up, I get to fire you. The other one on that, I'm just like, oh god. All of this scene has just like exactly what I want out of this movie. On like the rewatch again, it's just all Adam Scott's character being Maxwell Adam Scott and just having this unchained person next to him the entire time. Yeah, that's the one that sticks out for me as funniest.
Adam Scott has like surprising amount of range too. Like you see some of his other movies and stuff, and TV appearances.
Watching Parks and Rec, and I watched this movie. That's why I liked him so much, is because Parks and Rec is such a pushover, and he's such like he just gets walked on all the time.
You just get this alpha dude in this movie. It's
with like the slick back hair and like the 600 or what do you say, 6 figures?
Yeah,
like 550,000.
I made $550K last year, so money does mean a little bit to me. He also plays the devil in The Good Place, and he's awesome in that. Mm-hmm. It's similar to this character, but
it's not like an ABC or like a Fox show. It's
really good. It really surprised you, but okay.
I'd say just really like the ending and everything coming together. At
the song,
the song,
the song in particular.
Yeah. I mean, I knew you were hoping somebody would say that, and it's great. Like it deserves it. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Like that. Oh man, I love when they're in the forest and like they're having that flashback to the forest or whatever. And I love that they don't do subtitles on it. I love that you have no idea what they're saying. It's just this made up language, and they're just talking to each other. That was my. But anyway, mine definitely is and always will be the first dinner scene where they have the chicken nuggets at the table. Nothing will beat that.
The first one,
the first dinner scene where like they just got married, they just moved in together, and they're still being really hostile.
He's just like glaring at him.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
Yeah.
What's the sauce called, Price?
The sauce?
Yeah.
It's the ketchup and mayo combo.
You know what it's made up of, but what's it called?
Oh my gosh.
I knew he'd
Is it
forget.
the fancy sauce?
Fancy sauce.
Okay.
I thought it was just aioli. I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Okay. I thought so because like she tries giving it to Darren. He's like,
Yeah. Oh, honorable mention for whenever they're first laying down in their beds for the first night, and then like I can't remember who says the line like to each other, but he like turns over and he's just like, "Hey, I just want you to know I hate." Oh, it's John C. Reilly's character. I hate you, and my dad hates you too. I will say this to Price in a couple weeks whenever we go room at Gen Con here soon, and we're going to be in a bed at the hotel room. I'm just Price, you awake? I just want to let you know I hate you, and my dad hates you too.
You better not fall asleep.
And I'll be
'cause
like,
I swear to God, I'll
you
punch
don't know
you
where
right
your
in the
dad
face.
is.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a whole pillowcase full of soap and beat you to death. Yeah.
all right. How about favorite one-liner then?
Favorite one-liner? Oh, it's got to be
harder.
It's got to be I haven't had a carpet since 2004. Like that one just gets me every single time I hear it. Like I'm just like, oh,
Mine's good. Mine would probably be when they're at the dinner table and they just got divorced. They're both crying, and then the wife starts really crying, and Adam Scott just eating his meal, and she's like, "I'm sorry, honey." He's like, "Why are you calling him honey?" He's just like eating his dinner.
I'd say mine, it isn't much of a one-liner, but like the first time that Alice and John C. Reilly's character are like outside their front door for the first time, and just that whole transaction's going on, and John C. Reilly's just like, "This probably isn't okay. I don't."
And then
sex? What?
and then they kiss.
Yeah, and then Will Ferrell
That kiss
comes
is
out.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. That I don't know. That was probably my favorite.
Do you have one, Nathan?
I mean, it's probably the eating his dick like Kobe.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
Yeah.
that's fucking insane.
All right. Well, I don't really know. This isn't again one of those plot-heavy movies where we can really pick it apart and be like, I see all these kind of layers and
Right.
stuff. That's why I asked those questions because it kind of draws out the discussion a little bit. And that's
Price
all
wants
you
us
get
to
from
mouth
that
his movie. Don't let him lie to you. This is give me all the compliments.
No,
I
hey,
want, right?
talk about negatives then. That's fine. Talk about what your negatives. You already said yours. It's 2-1.
No, sorry, I have another one. So going into like, I know that this movie isn't like plot driven and it's not super deep, whatever. I know what it is going into it, but it actually took one of my least favorite like reality pictures and put it into a movie times 2. It's like a 40-year-old man still living at home, like. Just how cringy Will Ferrell was acting, how cringy John C. Reilly is with like his
You feel
sound
like that's
office.
cringy?
Very much so.
You've never watched The Office, have you?
I haven't watched enough
Say,
of The Office.
no, because I'll say like that does not compare.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a
specifically
great
Scott's
argument.
tots
for it, but-
if we need to on
Oh,
cringe.
that is the worst.
but all
So
I'm
you're
saying
cringing
is,
just thinking about it.
like just this like going from the very beginning. They kind of like lay it on deep just to let you know
I
their
think it's more
backgrounds and
depressing
stories.
though, but not cringy.
I mean, it's both.
Either or, you don't feel
Yeah.
good after watching it. And I think
Yeah,
that's,
and,
all,
like,
that's the feeling.
Obviously, they get somewhat jobs and they dig their way out, but just like that aspect of it, and then they have like to live together, and then the parents, they're just kind of rolling with the punches. Oh, he's gonna find a job. Oh, it's just him. Oh,
No, the dad's trying to push him out
I know the dad
real hard.
is.
The mom
I know
definitely
the
is,
dad
definitely is enabling.
But they're both so just passive on it, and like I don't know. Obviously, it's a comedy, and they had an angle to go for.
she actually gets called an enabler at the end by the therapist. She's like, and you're an enabler. She's like, and you're a keeper.
Yeah. The therapist is right. I don't say this in a lot of movies, but God bless her. She was mostly right onto it until she started sleeping with it, which is, unless it was 5 years after, then maybe it's in the gray zone. You're not really supposed to, but yeah.
Other negatives?
That's it.
That's fine. You don't have to try to think of if it's nothing like too pressing.
Yeah, if it doesn't come to mind right away, it's just not like it's not deep enough for me to sit there and like I knew what I was getting out of Step Brothers, especially on the rewatch and
Everyone
stuff like that.
does.
So
Yeah.
it's to its credit, it doesn't ever overstay its welcome, and I think that's an important thing to do with any movie, regardless of it.
I will say, overstaying its welcome though, that was actually the first time that I had seen the, I guess, extended cut or regular cut, because the version I've always seen was the trimmed down version that you see on TV.
That's what I
and I've
watched.
seen those. that's why I've never I've seen the fancy sauce part. That last night was the first time I've seen that. It's,
really?
It's not in the original for some reason. That whole scene's there.
I don't remember
not the
it from
fancy
last
sauce
night.
part. Yeah,
Because
that's why you
he
wouldn't.
said something about ketchup, and I do remember him just squeezing that bottle.
Yeah.
And
And it's
I was
like,
like,
that's
that's enough.
That's enough. Where it's like, but I like it.
Yeah. So I don't remember anything with like,
Like,
mayonnaise.
that
This movie is just priced for the first third of this
Oh, I had
movie.
a lot of ketchup. Just a
I'm
second
sure
ago.
you did with some
I'm sure
nuggets,
he
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the other scene that the worst scene, like if I had only seen this version, it would knock off points for me. I did not like it this much. It was the Christmas scene right before they get divorced, and Dale and the wife go out and have sex, and like they come into the room while they're having sex. It's like it's not fun. I didn't think that was funny at all. It was just too forced. It didn't feel organic. It's like no one in their right mind would see him in that position like that and think like, oh, nothing's going on. Again, I know it's a really stupid movie, but again, I'm glad they cut that out of the actual movie.
That does point up one thing that I realize that usually doesn't land for me in a lot of comedy movies, and this will be my last critique before I think we just transition into scores, I think.
Truth.
Yeah.
Is that in comedy movies, everybody's an idiot. Like, and that's the only way they can give like a context for it to allow the wacky things that happen to happen. Where, like, exactly to your point, they come in and they're like, any other normal day person would be like, they're having sex, what are you doing? Big commotion. But in this one, it's like, oh, yeah, well, whatever, and it, like, flies off.
See, but again, when they cut that out, the characters, I think they seem more believable. Like, I really think the characters are believable to an extent.
For the most part, in this movie, they're not they're not the worst. Like, the parents obviously are like, you can give them enough credit because they're also, these are their children, and they've clearly been making these decisions for long enough that they're like, all right, just too deep into it.
Yeah.
So that one I can kind of give them credit for, but then I would say by and far this movie doesn't do it, just in a couple of the added scenes maybe, which I didn't know were added scenes. I've always seen that version of the movie, so I never blinked out that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, I'm like, I guess that's a thing in comedy movies. There's like, to kind of let some of the juvenile humor to land, everybody has to be like equally stupid with it, which is not something that I necessarily hate at times. If it's done bad, I dislike it. But I can think again, my favorite comedy movie is probably either The Other Guys or Super Troopers, and everybody's both idiots across the board on that one. And it lands well, so maybe it's not a big issue. Just something I noticed. Keep an eye on it in your future comedy movie, see if you like it or dislike it.
Just the fact that everyone's just dense.
Yeah. Everybody, are you stupider for watching comedies? And I think that's kind of where it comes in.
Yeah.
But do we want to get in the scores? Are we ready for that?
I think so.
Yep.
Sure.
Nathan, I'll let you lead the way.
Okay, well, I don't want to come across as somebody that doesn't like comedy, because I do.
It seems like
Turn the hair on it.
I don't know. I just don't really. Maybe it's because like some of these I've seen before, so if it doesn't get me laughing because I've seen it before, I don't feel so great on it. But I was only okay on this, and it just reminds me of like all the other Will Ferrell comedies that I've seen where I'm also just generally okay on, and just like there were funny moments in it, but overall, like usually by the end of like rewatching one of them, like if I rewatch Anchorman or something like that, I'm just like, that wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Like I want that hour and 48 minutes back or something like that.
I could have watched something else.
Yeah.
With some content.
Like, I know that the first time I watched it, I did have a better opinion of it, so I would say I would probably go like 6.5 on it.
Okay.
Just to be fair to it, because it is a good movie. It's just, if it's not got me laughing and it's a comedy,
and that's all there is to this movie too.
Right.
And there's no plot to fall back on either.
Yeah.
That is a really good point though, because like kind of like earlier we were talking about like if you're not in the right headspace and all that, but at the same time, like I could think of plenty of comedies right now that if I was just to go home and watch them, like I probably wouldn't enjoy them. I would have to. It has to be a comedy that I think is, like I was talking about earlier, unique. It has to be different. I guess with the exception of like The Other Guys, but
throw that on anytime.
I don't know. I guess we all have those that we have certain liking for, but this movie I'm gonna go ahead and give it like a 7.5. It's good. It lands.
It's a lot higher than I was thinking.
Like I said, it's good. It's just I can't help but think of like similarities and like references to like other movies. Not that it uses the references, but I can reference it to other movies. So,
between you guys' scores, I feel pretty roughly in the same. I think that I'm probably smacked up in the middle, right at 7. This is I think it's a good comedy movie. I've had good laughs with it before. Even now, I still have good chuckles, and it's for different reasons. It doesn't pull me like over the top. It's not like busting out laughing anymore, and I do think some of this humor has been a little bit more juvenile. Like I find Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly's characters a lot less endearing in these times while rewatches with it. But and equally so, I found some other parts that I enjoyed with it. So I can't really knock it and say it's a bad movie. It's definitely not. It's a good enough comedy. It's just it's not the. It doesn't sing to me the most, but it still has enough scenes to make it redeemable and good. So I landed right at a 7. Probably right between you guys on this one on the rewatch with it.
I think you already know where I'm going with mine.
I hope.
I
Get the bell ready.
I think that you all are too stingy with your 10s. Honestly, I really do. I know it makes.
I'm terribly stingy with my 10s.
I know it makes it. I know it makes it mean more and everything, but this and Billy Madison are my 2 top favorite movies of all time. With Tim and Eric like landing right below those.
Not even comedy, just favorite movies. Period.
Yeah, really. Like I love those so much, and every time I watch this, like. To speak to your point, like I think the point that Dylan brought up earlier, like really got me was talking about how when you watch it, like you get like your favorite character can change, like who you see as the funniest or something, because it used to be the brothers, and then like it could change to the dad or whatever, and which is why I feel very good about giving this a 10. Again, it's a personal score. I feel it for me.
Why don't we
it's a
have
10.
a bell for these things?
Yeah.
We really should have a big golden, something that rings the whole
Big.
neighborhood.
But he'll be the only one that's ringing.
Right, but okay, so
That's true.
we have a big one for all 3 of us, and we have this little tiny one for Bryce. If we gives it a 10.
There's only
Here's
one
another 10.
Yeah.
There's only one other movie I'd give a 10, and that's Billy Madison. That's the only other one I give.
Tim and Eric, it was a
And Tim and Eric, yeah.
Okay,
I feel like that one like is right below it. And
Right.
this is a personal score. If I was judging as like, do I think this is the perfect movie? No, not at all. If you're not a fan of stupid comedy, this movie's gonna fall completely flat on you because there's nothing else there. Like it's a really dumb comedy movie, and I absolutely love it. I was laughing, like I was audibly laughing to myself when I was watching it last night.
I believe you.
I love it.
Since
See,
we've-
they believe me, so
Yeah.
that justifies my score even more. 10 on the Tim and Eric, I can understand why you're a little bit.
Well,
A little
and like we said
Falling
before, our
Little.
scores are just like
Personal preference,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
about it.
Yeah.
Since
So
you've
that's-
already put your score of Billy Madison up on the board, like I'll go ahead and say that's probably an 8 for me, just because like it's
I really
a little
like
bit more
that.
original. It's a little bit more like the jabs are a little funnier.
It was a really novel concept, especially when it came out.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Slightly more. I actually gave Tim and Eric a 7.5
That's-
too.
That's beside the point. We're not talking about Billy Madison.
Sure.
We're still talking about Step Brothers. We're fixing to end on it.
I just want to tell you all the movies that are better than your movies.
I love It's okay if you all have noticed on the podcast, everybody's talking at me. Like they're talking at me rather
That's not
than
true. I
like,
talk
around
right at the camera as I should. Looking at future me.
I
Check it out.
talk at you.
I'm giving me like the dad expression that Adam Scott in the future.
That was one of the best parts.
Yeah.
And another little thing, like another kind of deleted part, was during the before the boats and hose thing, before all that, like when they're sitting there at the dinner table and the dad stands up and like says like that little speech,
Mhm.
completely cut from the original version. Or maybe I guess this is the original version, but from the redacted version,
Yeah.
that's completely cut out.
The TV,
The made for TV version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a 10 for me. Everything lands for me. Love the movie. Love the characters.
Averages it an 8
Yeah.
Love it all.
or 7.5.
7.5, I think.
So now we go into Nathan's pick for next week.
Yeah.
He's been sort of tossing around 2 different ideas. What'd you land on for this week?
Okay, so we've already established that you 2 had seen Waterworld.
Correct.
I have not.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go with Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay.
There it is.
I absolutely love both of those movies, but I love post-apocalyptic anything.
Mm. We've
And-
seen their musical taste. We know.
Exactly. Oh,
And
gosh.
Fury, come on.
I hate that movie.
Yeah,
I actually enjoyed that. What did I
it.
give that movie?
Which one?
Repo.
You
Repo?
2 gave it
I gave it
really
like an 8.
good. Yeah.
really
I don't know
good.
what
I gave it like a 2, and I
No,
firmly
you gave it
stand
less
by
than that.
Yeah.
You gave it a 1.
I think you gave it
You
like
gave it a 1.5.
yeah,
1.5?
Yeah,
I
you
stand
gave
Dylan
by
it-
gave it a
that.
7.
Price
I
called
detested
Mason
that
and said,
movie.
"What was my score for Lawnmower Man again?"
Yeah.
Because lower than that.
It was like
Like 2 a.m.
Lawnmower Man was that threshold, and
Yeah.
then it fell. It fell even lower. And I didn't even know that was
maybe
possible.
someday I can find a spot lower than that, but I don't think it's gonna.
It's not gonna be
pray.
Mad Max. I've seen Mad Max
pray
a
that
long
you
time
can.
ago.
Yeah.
I've seen Mad Max a long time ago, and even if I just like blank out the movie and just talk about the cinematography,
I may
like
have to hook that
That's above a
58-inch
1.5.
TV up and just the
Probably.
sound.
Oh yeah,
you need to
so
watch
I've
it.
got it in 4K,
Yeah.
and
oh, you do.
I love it.
I do. You need to watch on the biggest, loudest TV
Oh, yeah.
stereo system.
Let's just watch it over at Nathan's house this weekend.
Is that or prices? One of the two.
way to
I
do
might
it.
have time this weekend. Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can watch it with us too, I guess. But
We were gonna watch it with Jill.
I knew you had the 4K
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
so I was like, your involvement's not always necessary. But I mean, if you're there, that'd be great, man. So you heard it here.
That could be the first one we actually watched together.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun one. We could,
I agree.
We could even.
I like it.
Well, no, we don't want to do a full reaction. That's a long video for it. Yeah, because that's like a 2-hour plus
We
movie.
could do it
so-
right afterwards. Though.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be hard to do a live reaction to it if we have it
If we-
playing loud as it
Right.
It
Yeah.
needs to be
Yeah,
loud.
it needs to be like
100%.
it is a movie that is
You have to
a sense
experience that.
explosion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you need to. So it'll be extra special because I've got the Hue light system where it actually syncs up to
lights
the
up with
video,
it.
so it like the lights actually play off around the room.
Hell yeah.
Just do some crystal.
Yeah. That's
right
confirming-
beforehand.
Even more.
Jeez.
Oh, that's
That
not
is
what you
a
were thinking.
that is a